From the Delhi studios of Republic TV, it's time for Arnab Goswami on the debate.
Arnab Goswami on the debate at 10, powered by RP Sanjeev Goenka Group and Berger Silk.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. At a time when at least 30 vaccines are in different stages of development in India, the country is witnessing a fresh spike in COVID cases. Tonight, the Prime Minister, in his address to state governments, has sent a clear message that the fight against the virus has nowhere neared its end. Here is what the Prime Minister said, and then our second very relevant and important debate is about whether, if, why, whether at all we are ready or need another lockdown. Let's debate.
Overcrowded markets with no social distancing. Citizens penalized for no masks. Exactly 245 days after the first lockdown was imposed across India to battle COVID, the fatigue has set in. And the lapses have led to second COVID wave in the country. The Prime Minister chaired a meeting with chief ministers of 8 states that have the highest caseload.
थोड़ा आग्रह रखेंगे तो चीजें संभल सकती हैं। जो चीज हम तैयार करें उसको जरा इंप्लीमेंट करें और हमें आगे अब कोई बढ़े नहीं, इसकी चिंता जरूर करनी होगी, कोई नई गड़बड़ न हो। आपदा के गहरे समंदर से हम निकले हैं, ये हम मान के चले। इतना बड़ा देश, दुनिया मानती थी कि भारत तो नहीं संभल पाएगा। आपदा के गहरे समंदर से हम निकलकर हम किनारे की तरफ बढ़ रहे हैं। हम सभी के साथ वो पुरानी जो एक शेर शायरी चलती है, ऐसा न हो जाए कि हमारी किश्ती भी वहां डूबी जहां पानी कम था। ये स्थिति हमें नहीं आने देनी। जो घरों में आइसोलेटेड मरीज हैं, उनकी मॉनिटरिंग ज्यादा बेहतर तरीके से करनी होगी। आप भी जानते हैं कि अगर वहां थोड़ी भी ढिलाई रही तो मरीज बहुत गंभीर स्थिति में अस्पताल आता है, फिर हम बचा नहीं पाते हैं। जो गांव है, कम्युनिटी के स्तर पर हेल्थ सेंटर हैं, उनको भी हमें ज्यादा इक्विप करना ही होगा। गांव के आसपास भी इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर ठीक रहे, ऑक्सीजन की सप्लाई पर्याप्त रहे, ये हमें देखना होगा। हम लोगों का लक्ष्य होना चाहिए कि फर्टिलिटी रेट को 1% से भी नीचे लाए। करीब करीब आखिरी दौर पर वैक्सीन के में काम पहुंचा है। भारत सरकार हर डेवलपमेंट पर बारीकी से नजर रखे हुए हैं, हम सबके संपर्क में भी हैं और अभी ये तय नहीं है कि वैक्सीन की 1 डोज होगी, 2 डोज होगी या 3 डोज होगी। ये भी तय नहीं है कि इसकी कीमत कितनी होगी, उसकी कीमत कितनी होगी, ये कैसे होगी। यानी अभी भी इन सारी चीजों के सवालों के जवाब हमारे पास नहीं है, क्योंकि जो इसके वाले हैं, दुनिया में जिस प्रकार के कॉरपोरेट वर्ल्ड भी है, उनका भी एक कंपटीशन है। दुनिया के देशों के भी अपने अपने डिप्लोमेटिक इंटरेस्ट होते हैं। WHO से भी हमें इंतजार करना पड़ता है। तो हमें ये इन चीजों को वैश्विक संदर्भ में ही आगे बढ़ना पड़ेगा।
The search for vaccine is in the last leg, but Prime Minister has sounded caution. And if there is a steady spike in cases, is India staring at another lockdown? Let's debate.
Now let me begin by saying that this is one of those rare debates where I'm not really taking a firm stand on it, because I am myself, like all of you, very confused. But I do know that there is an imminent threat. I do know that in whispers and elsewhere we are beginning to talk about whether there should be a lockdown. I know there are such strong views for and against the lockdown. I don't want to be squashed between both of you. But what I want all of you to do tonight is do something that is very easy for someone like Sohail Seth or Sunil Alagh. Please don't be politically correct. Speak your mind. There is a COVID second wave coming and we need to start talking about how we are going to deal with it. Like they say, it's going to get worse before it gets better. Sanju Verma, Sohail Seth, Smita Prakash, Sunil Alagh, Dr. Sanjeev Bagai, Professor Manojit Mandal, Dr. Subramaniam Swaminathan, Dr. Hemant Thakkar, Dr. Rajinder Kumar Dhamija, who is a WHO fellow at the National Institute of Epidemiology in Delhi, and Piruz Kambata. Thank you very much. Piruz is the chairman and MD of Rasna. Thank you. Always reminds me of my childhood days. Thank you very much, all of you, for joining me. Now, what should we do? Lockdown, no lockdown, continue as it is? How dangerous is it? Who'd like to start? Should I begin by asking the doctors here? Let me put that question to Dr. Subramaniam Swaminathan. Some people say without a lockdown it's very dangerous, but we are used to living in danger now compared to April and May.
Good evening. Obviously, we are facing the second wave, and obviously this is very concerning. Having said that, I think we need to analyze the situation carefully and adopt measures according to that. Let's look at what the Western world has done. They haven't immediately gone ahead and imposed draconian measures. The smartest countries have looked at where their problems are and found solutions which serve that purpose instead of having a huge draconian kind of a response to it. And I think the Indian government is also reacting similarly. Because a generalized lockdown, while it is a very powerful tool, it is also very counterproductive in terms of the economy. So we have learned a lot more than we were about 6 or 7 months ago. We have understood the problem better. We know how it transmits. We know how to control it. Our medical infrastructure is handling the load. We are able to do a lot of good work. So let's try and find a middle path where we can do targeted interventions, do specific things to reduce transmission while we keep the economy going as far as possible. Because as you said, the gentleman is tired. So the more things we ask him to do, the less he's going to do. So let's do less things, but let's do them very, very, very effectively.
That's a bit middle of the road, doctor.
Yeah.
I want people on the panel to take a position, lockdown or no lockdown. No, lockdown or no lockdown, to carry on as it is.
Let me put it like this. It could be a lockdown.
Okay, Sanju Verma raises her hand. Okay, who else? Okay, who goes first? Okay, Sohail Seth wants to come in. Yes, Sohail. Since you're the resident doctor on the panel, please go on. Okay, seeing Sohail come in, Smita also wants to come in. Go on. Sohail first.
I don't think India needs another lockdown. It won't achieve anything. What will happen is there will be more fear, there will be more economic damage. And I believe what the Prime Minister said, for God's sake, this is a country of 1.3 billion people. We can't expect to be herded every day. There has to be some level of self-discipline. I think Indians, our fellow countrymen and women, need to recognize that self-discipline is the need of the hour. A lockdown will achieve nothing. And even if you do have a lockdown, whether it's partial or not, it is not going to help alleviate the problems we suffer from. There are three things that have to happen, Arnab, and they have to sadly happen simultaneously. We've got to become very, very strict with testing, and with testing in a deeper sense rather than in a peripheral manner. Number two, we've got to ramp up our healthcare infrastructure, especially, as the Prime Minister himself said, in our villages. Third, we've got to make people understand that this is not something.
You're saying we're going to be able to absorb the disease. You're saying, I don't mean to provoke you, but what you're saying, Sohail, you're saying, Sohail, is that India is prepared to absorb the consequences of no lockdown. But I'm sorry, that is a statement you cannot base on any fact. And no, 92 lakh mark today. Come on, Sohail. 92 lakh mark today. 45,000 cases on a daily basis. from November 18th to November 22nd, number 2 after the United States with the highest COVID cases. And by the way, Sohail said, may I remind you, I have a picture of yours from the first time you took a flight during the lockdown.
Absolutely.
I don't mix
But that
personal
doesn't mean
and
I'm
professional, but it was a picture I shall keep. You were wearing a full space suit. Yeah,
Absolutely.
No, you are wearing a space suit. But I want to ask you, Sohail, allow me to complete. That this is the problem with you, Sohail. You don't let anyone complete their sentence. My question to you, Sohail,
I'm
is,
so glad
if
it's
you were to
coming
take a
from
flight
you.
today, would you wear the same space suit?
No, I wouldn't.
Yeah, it's coming
Because
from me
the
because I think you're being very casual about
No,
it.
it's a great question. It's a great question. Safety protocols have changed, and I will follow the law. The law, as far as civil aviation in India is concerned, is the middle seat. You are required to
That's
wear
no
a
answer.
PPE suit. Otherwise, you're supposed to wear a face shield
I
and a
don't
mask right through the flight. And I don't think it
No,
has
no,
caused
I don't.
me
Yeah,
any
I understand, but
problems.
that's not a medical answer. That's not a medically cogent answer. You're saying
that's
I
what-
follow
that's the
protocol
law.
when the virus has
That's the
become
law.
more
Half the
deadly.
people are not
The
even
protocol
following
is
the
less
law.
stringent. No, what you're saying, we'll live with it. Who's on the other side? Come on, who's taking on Sohail Seth on the other side tonight? Sanju Verma is there. We have Pirus Kambata who wants to come in. Yes, Pirus, come on. We have Dr. Thakkar who wants to come in. Okay, Pirus Kambata first, then Dr. Thakkar. Come on, gentlemen, come freely into the debate. Just because there are lesser panelists, lesser politicians, does not mean we have to necessarily have a more regulated debate. Yes, please, Pirus.
Actually, India as a nation has lost a lot with lockdown. Let us understand. So I had some data which says our GDP has contracted by 24%. We have lost 32,000 crores a day. For around 1.4 crore of people have lost their job. Now, if you see this is huge, humongous data. But I think that time it was correct. The complete lockdown was correct. Because probably our health system was not ready. People were not, let us say, clear. They never knew what to do. In fact, even the doctors never knew, the government never knew. Today, we can have a calibrated lockdown. This is what I somehow believe. And what I mean by a calibrated lockdown is there are certain businesses which can be closed with a paycheck protection, which I have been saying. For example, retail in malls, theaters. Don't close them without a paycheck protection. Give a stimulus, give some sort of support to these people to close down, so that they at least can, keep afloat and have a calibrated lockdown. Wherever we feel that A, B, C, D, by closing, the economic impact won't be too much. Don't close export units, don't close manufacturing units, don't close essentials. But I'm sure we can classify units. And somehow a calibrated lockdown is required.
Firoz. No, Firoz. My question to you, Mr. Kambata, is this. This is like saying, it's like what you write in a cigarette pack. Smoke at your own risk. Don't say we didn't warn you. You might get COVID, but it's your own choice. That's what I feel. Smita wanted to counter you. Yeah, Smita wants to come in. Come on, Smita.
May I come in?
Yeah, let's get Smita and
May I
everyone
come in,
can come in.
please?
Yeah, Smita.
Yeah, look, this calibrated lockdown, it is true. I mean, numbers are being thrown at us every day by experts. The numbers have risen alarmingly between October and November. And, our healthcare infrastructure is under immense pressure. All of a sudden, it had started petering down, and again it's all of a sudden. But this one size fits all or calibrated lockdown, it's not necessary. Experts, both medical as well as economists have given us cost benefit analysis. There are other ways of tackling this sudden surge. You don't need a calibrated lockdown or the other way, any lockdown. You just need things like night curfews, which is not a lockdown. You can shut down some areas which are hotspots. Already schools and educational institutions are shut down. You shut down shops and shopping malls where there has been an extreme surge. You shut down like some societies are saying, no construction activities. Laborers who are not screened will not come. These kind of things which are left to states or districts to handle it, and then increasingly police and penalty people who are not maintaining social distancing. This is not being done. Calibrated in the sense that you shut down entire tourism industry. You shut down all hotels, all theaters across the country. You will be causing so much of damage to an economy which is just about starting. I mean, tourism and all is giving jobs. Second to agriculture.
Let me play devil's advocate. Let me play devil's advocate with you, Smita.
sector.
Let me play devil's advocate with you. No. Let me play devil's advocate with you and stop Sanju Verma from putting out what her prepared statement on the subject would be, but rather throw this googly at her. Sanju Verma, you are the national spokesperson of the BJP. Our government, in which you are the main constituent, told us that the first 2 phases of lockdown saved lives. You told us 3 million cases were avoided. You said 78,000 lives were not lost. Now the virus has not changed. The virus has not become nicer. Unless, let me put it to you, now why are you becoming anti-lockdown now? Will people not die because of COVID? Has the virus become less deadly? There is no logic. I mean, if you are saying we won't have a lockdown or we'll be very calibrated about it, how is your approach changed now compared to May, or are you just willing to take more risk?
Arnab, let me first tell you that I am less of a prepared statement types and more spontaneous. That's the way I debate. But keeping that aside, I would tend to agree partially with both Suhail Seth and Smita Prakash. Let me just give you statistics because I think data never lies. The fact of the matter is that when the lockdown started, we started on the 25th of March, 12 a.m. We were doing barely 300 tests per day. In the last 24 hours, we've done the highest 10.99 lakh, 11 lakh tests per day. Our test positivity rate cumulatively is today just 6.87%. When the lockdown started, when the COVID pandemic was at its peak, the test positivity rate was in high double digits. What is our case fatality rate? Case fatality rate is just 1.4%, the lowest in the world. And mind you, what is the active case load rate? That is just 4.78%. And I want to correct you, Arnab, on one thing. Since the 8th of November, the number of cases have fallen to less than 50,000 per day. In the last 24 hours, it was just 40,000 per day. Now, what do all these figures mean? Let me simplify it for the common man. Our death rate is the lowest in the world. Our positivity rate is the lowest in the world. Our active cases rate is the lowest in the world, but our recovery rate at 94% is the highest in the world. And mind you, this despite the fact that, do you know something? India has a density of population of 455 persons per square kilometer. What is the density of population per square kilometer in the United States of America? 36. What is it in Brazil? 25. What is it in European Union? Barely 111 or 112.
Throwing convenience statistics.
Being the second biggest country
you
in
are
terms
throwing
of
convenience
population
statistics.
and the highest country in terms of density of population.
These are.
We've done
Let's
a
get it.
phenomenal
No.
job.
One second.
Thanks
One
to
minute.
Narendra Modi
I can also
and
throw
the Minister
statistics at you.
For Home
No.
Affairs,
1 minute,
Amit Shah.
Sanju.
So why
Sanju, this
not
is a
have-
prepared statement.
Why
Sanju,
not
this is
have
a prepared statement.
calibrated unlock?
Sanju, this is a
Why
prepared
not have a
statement.
calibrated unlock, which is what we have been doing?
First of all,
I have thrown statistics at you,
okay.
Arnab.
Sanju, now listen to the
If you
counter.
want to rebut me with statistics.
Yeah, you have
Don't
thrown
give
statistics
objective-
and you say,
give
thank you, Sanju.
objectivity as
Sanju, now let me
objective color.
counter you because I will be able to counter you very well. Allow me, because I'll be able to counter you very well. Sanju Verma says, data never lies. Sanju, they say lies, damn lies and statistics. Second point is, forget the statistics. You, Sanju Verma, you as in the ubiquitous BJP spokesperson, would come on Republic TV in April, May, June and say, listen, learn from the rest of the world. We beat the rest of the world in the imposition of a lockdown. And now I tell you, using your own logic, that Germany this month imposed a 1-month lockdown and is thinking of extending it to December. What happened to looking at the world?
That's true.
Right, Sunil? No, Sunil Alak, no. You said we beat the rest of the world. Now, don't you want to beat the United Kingdom?
Germany and France. No, Arnab, let me just...
Sunil Alak, they have imposed a lockdown on 31st October. They have 1 million cases.
Reporting more than
We are well past 1 million cases. We are nearing 10 million, for God's sake.
India's population.
No, look, as far as I'm concerned...
No, let's hear the other side. We want Sunil Alagh on the debate. We want Dr. Bagai. We want Hemant Thakkar. We want Rajinder Kumar Dhamija. We want everyone on the debate. Yes, please. Sunil Alagh, come on now.
Is that, look,
Sunil Alagh, the debate is hotting up. Let Sunil Alagh come in, please. Yeah.
Unless the people exercise self-discipline, all the statistics will go down the drain. Everything on economy will go down the drain. I have been to Goa by flight. The average person on the road is wearing a mask. And if you have a party in your house, they will report you to the police unless the people rise and understand the situation that we are talking about. No amount of statistics means anything to them. You've had a festival. Maharashtra has now opened all the temples. Now you're actually asking people to come out and say everything is okay. Now, how are you going to control them? You must convey to the people that is the most important, and penalize anyone.
Hemant
Once
Thakkar.
you make an example of penalizing
Sanjeev Bagai. No. None of you, all of you are skirting the issue. All of you are skirting the issue because Sanjeev Bagai. Sanjeev, all of you are skirting the issue. None of you want to address the reality.
Arnab, yeah.
None of you, including you, Sunil Alagh. You want me to be straight with you? Delhi, Maharashtra and Karnataka are contributing more than 70% of the cases in the country. What about a lockdown there?
I am just
Sanjeev
telling
Bagai.
you there was no lockdown in Goa. Look at the states where it's worked.
Yeah.
There was no lockdown in Goa. All the restaurants were open because the people were wearing masks.
Arnab, my stand is...
maintaining social distance. Unless the people understand, let me tell you, everything will go down the drain. Every single thing. That's the only point I'm making, apart from throwing statistics all over the place. You have to understand that the people must realize it. The people must move forward, and the people must say, I'm going to wear the mask, I'm going to do so.
The people don't impose a lockdown, the government does, for God's sake. What are you saying? The people of the country don't impose a lockdown.
Yeah.
No, you don't.
Let's get Sanjeev Bagai in 1 second. There are 3 panelists have not spoken. Yeah.
Yeah, Arnab.
I agree. Government is to impose, people
Arnab,
is to follow.
my stand is...
Sanjeev, no, okay, Sunil. Okay, Sunil.
There was no lockdown in Goa. And
Take a firm stand. Take a firm stand.
Yeah, Arnab.
Dr. Bagai
Arnab,
has been wanting to speak for a while.
India at this stage... Yeah. My very clear-cut stand based on medical scientific facts is after 8 or 9 months of struggling through this pandemic, this is not the time for a lockdown. The lockdown is that initial part of a pandemic, and it serves 3 purposes. One is to get the governmental preparedness ready and the protocols ready. The second is to get the society with us. And third, to sensitize the society. And the third is to get the medical infrastructure, doctors and the medication ready. At this time, it's a society movement. The society has to be responsible. Now, mind you, if you have a lockdown, especially in the winter months in northern India, the indoor air transmission is equally harmful. So we are not running away from the fact that the cases will still increase. The fact is that the lockdown is not going to eradicate this infection, is not going to get rid of this infection. What we need to do is not to enforce a lockdown, but to enforce preventive measures so that a national campaign is there for public awareness. Masks is the only thing which is going to save people. The vaccine is not coming anytime early for mass use. Even if it comes, it is going to take upwards of 24 months to immunize India to get herd immunity. The only way to tide over this next 3-4 months in winter, and there are many medical reasons for the winter surge, is to wear a mask, sensitize the public, no lockdown.
No lockdown, correct.
No, but when is the vaccine coming now? You know, we are exulting. We are exulting about a vaccine that does not exist. We are exulting about a vaccine that does not exist. Dr. Rajinder Kumar Dhamija and Dr. Thakkar, pardon me, anyone has a date on that? Okay, Dr. Rajinder Kumar. 1 second. Yes, Dr. Kumar.
Now, let me start by saying that the virus is here to stay and the vaccine is still the months away. So if, given the experience of last 8-9 months, if still the people are not able to wear the mask for their own safety and for the other safety, there is a harsh method. The lockdown is really invasive. It's a restriction of movement. It's just preventing the spread of infection from an infected person to a susceptible person. So if the people do not understand at this point of time, even after 9 months, I understand there is a fatigue. I understand there is a kind of a complacency, but we have to sensitize people. This is a participation of the community. If the people do not understand, there is no way out. We have to go for maybe a restricted lockdown, maybe a lockdown in smaller cities, maybe a lockdown in containment area, maybe lockdown in a particular rural areas or where the density of the virus is high. So the lockdown still, we have to see, we have to go for the harsh economic fallout of the lockdown. You have to see, we are living in a time when we have to keep the bars open but schools closed. This is the time, this is a rare time when schools are closed but we have to keep the bars open due to economic regions. So if the people do not adhere, we have no other option but to go for maybe a restricted lockdown in some cities, maybe in the containment areas.
No, but what is the timeline for the vaccine? If I were to, Sohail, just coming to you, but if I look at one minute, let's get David, Dr. Hemant Thakkar in. Dr. Hemant Thakkar and Monojit have not spoken. After that, I'm opening it up. Dr. Thakkar, can you give me a timeline? Whether people accept it or not, the social reaction to the vaccine is the social reaction to the idea of self-discipline and a lockdown is inextricably linked, in my view, to the prospects of a vaccine. The biggest Google search now in India is, when is the vaccine coming? Right? So my question to you, Dr. Thakkar, can you give me a timeline on that? Do you have any broad sense on that? We need some clarity on that, don't we?
Since the vaccine is only a spark on the horizon, and the journey of these 1,000 miles begins with a single step, I still believe that, as I have said before, if you do as you did, you will get what you got. Just because you had COVID fatigue in October and you had meeting and greeting and kissing and hugging in Diwali, you cannot go with gay abandon. You're talking about COVID fatigue in economics and COVID fatigue amongst the people. But what about COVID fatigue at the hospital end and the healthcare authorities? We are watching with dismay as our numbers in the hospitals are slowly but surely going up. Delhi, of course, is bad. Northern states are bad. Nobody is talking about the looming large cold winter. Everybody is talking about the distant vaccine. When the vaccine is approved, when it comes to India, when it comes to your city, when you will get it and how much immunity you will get, these are a lot of million-dollar questions. You have to live for today, and if you don't discipline the people of India that you have to have social distancing and masking, it's like the cricket match which we are 140 for 2 with a target of 200 and you get all out at 175 because you went for the big hits and the sixes. India needs discipline. India needs coercion, tactics, media, broadcasts are not helping. We need something stricter.
We need something stricter. You hear it. I'm glad you've said that. You're a voice of reason tonight. And what is that something stricter, Dr. Thakkar? Say it more explicitly. Say it more explicitly. Monojit responds already. Yes, Monojit.
I would certainly say that instead of talking about how many...
Arnab, let us take Bihar as an example. Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
No, I would
Arnab,
only
let us take Bihar as an example. Look, who would have thought that after the election in Bihar in the month of October and November, the cases will go up like anything. Look, yes, if we learn, we can prevent it. Bihar, I think, is a classic example, and compare that with the people of United States of America, supposedly having good civic senses, but cases are rising like anything. So yes, we can talk about self-discipline, but yes, we have learned. If people of Bihar can teach us, even during the elections, very many cases are not being, found in Bihar. We can do it. Sir, it's not that we are not disciplined. Many of us are. We have learned it through the last 9 months, and lockdown is not a solution. And remember, we have not yet opened up. Educational institutions are still not open. Schools are still not open. So we have not entirely opened up. We need to continue like that. Yes, awareness can continue. But again, as a COVID, survivor, I can tell that I could cure myself at home. All the people don't need to go to hospital. Don't need to crowd the hospital. It's a disease. Yes, it's threatening, but it can be tackled even at home. I have learned it. I could understand it in 3 days, but thereafter it started to subside. So we can tackle it. People are learning to live with COVID, but lockdown not a solution. Lockdown could not prevent the cases. When the cases were almost around 1 lakh, we had NEET examination.
No, but I want to pit Hemant Thakkar with Sohail Seth. Sohail Seth. No. Sohail, you are all. No. I know. But listen. 1 minute. What is that something stricter? Tell me, what is that something stricter? People are not going to discipline themselves.
Arnab,
people aren't going to become more cautious. They'll become less cautious.
You at that time thought that I was being too patronizing about the issue, but all the stuff that I said has been repeated by every panelist. There are 3 mantras we have to follow. Self-discipline is critical. We can't be spoon-fed on every issue in our life by the Prime Minister of the country. Number 2, you've got to have demonstrable examples of notable societal behavior, which even Dr. Thakkar talked about. Societies. Let me tell you, the people we are forgetting today, Arnab, I mean, you haven't forgotten, a lot of us haven't forgotten, our healthcare warriors, our healthcare professionals, we must bow our heads down and we must salute them for what they are doing, for the service they are providing, for the risks they are taking in the absence of knowledge of the virus, in the absence of the dangers that the virus presents.
But you're still not addressing the issue.
1 minute.
You are not addressing the issue, Sohail.
No, I am addressing the issue.
Should we wait for the vaccines, or is it safer to ensure a partial lockdown in the interim? You want me to open the phone lines?
It's a Hobson's choice, my friend.
You want me to should I open the phone lines?
Listen.
No, yes, it's a Hobson's choice. Yes, it's a Hobson's choice.
You don't have a choice.
No, 1 minute. Yes, it's a Hobson's choice. But what is that something stricter? Either you're saying we're going to risk it. Are you saying we're going to risk it?
Arvind Kejriwal
No. Are you saying we're going to risk it?
Kejriwal has said there'll be fines of 2,000 rupees. There are countries like Singapore and the UAE which are very strict on people not wearing masks. So we need to become stricter. Number 2, we need to
what is that something strict? No. 1 minute. The issue is, do people need something coercive? Dr. Thakkar, elaborate, please. So you can, the problem is on my panel, everybody, God knows what's happening today. Everybody is waiting for each other. Everybody is doing pehle aap. Everybody is agreeing with each other. What's going on here? Is this Republic or some Latin's channel? You see, one question is this. Dr. Thakkar, please. What is that something more coercive? Say it to them.
I would very clearly reiterate what the Prime Minister said today. The Prime Minister said, Kinara thoda dur hai. Now, if you see that fines are not helping, if you see that discipline is not being enforced, then you'll have to restrict them. If coercion is not helping, you have to restrict them. And if you can't restrict them, then you have to lock them. So you have to think speedily of getting to a disciplinary measure.
But nobody, but everybody, Dr. Thakkar, wants to, everybody wants to administer the bitter pill to somebody else, but not themselves. Yes, Smita, what are you so upset about?
Arnab.
What is Smita so upset about?
I am upset because I can't believe that you are... I am upset because I can't believe, Arnab, that you are talking about state wanting to be coercive. For heaven's sake, we don't want a coercive state. We want a persuasive state. And I think that is what the government has been doing. It was
I'm talking about a COVID lockdown, nothing worse.
Your chief minister, stop it. You don't want
let me tell you, Smita, on a lighter note, Smita, I would never want a coercive state. I have some personal experience of late of coercive states. So please don't get me wrong on that. Thank you.
He loves
Yeah,
it now.
exactly.
Arnab is now the biggest fighter against freedom.
Einstein,
He's not
today
a freedom
I want
fighter.
to tell you that.
No, hold on.
I can't believe this, Einstein.
No.
You should not be talking about coercive state and the need for coercion.
Madam, you have repeated your statement.
Let's gang up on
The
Arnab for
Prime
today.
Minister has said
Now can you imagine
no,
the magic
no
of
politics in medical coercion. Let's not involve politics in the coercion of medical discipline. Because politics is doing what they want to. I'm talking about discipline for medical reasons. You come into my casualty and see people walking without masks when you're wearing a full PPE. What are you going to do? You're going to say, no, I don't want to be coercive?
I know it, sir.
True
Sir,
that.
please.
True that.
Hang on.
No, doc.
I think
Doctor, please understand. I have a mother who is in the COVID ward right now, and I can't
think
visit
Dr.
her.
Thakkar must be listened to.
I know what it is like.
No,
I know the frustration with a mother in the
Smita,
ICU
Dr.
and not
Thakkar must be listened to.
not able to visit
What
her.
he's saying is, that people are not by nature very disciplined, and he's expressing the anguish and the despair of a healthcare worker who's putting his own life on the line. But yes, he's not finding the discipline even among prospective patients. I have had doctors who tell me that patients don't even declare their symptoms or their medical history with complete faith or honesty very often, which puts the doctors' lives at risk. So I'm talking about that level of detail. Yes, please, Dr. Swaminathan, what do we do? There's a second wave coming. We have to talk.
Okay.
We can't avoid this subject.
We certainly do. But here's the point. Everybody seems to think that the vaccine is going to be a universal answer for every problem. That's not correct. See, when you say the vaccine is going to be, say, 3 months away, but what vaccine? The currently vaccines that are being talked about in India are only licensed for adults. If you're not going to give it to 15 years and younger, 35% of your population is not going to get it. Number one. Number two, it's 2 doses 1 month apart. And 3, it's only going to give you about 60 to 70% protection. So to start off with, 65% of your population is not going to, only 65% is going to get it. Of that, maybe 70% is going to get immune, which basically means your protection rate overall for the community is about 50% at best, which is not enough. The point is the better vaccines are going to take more time. What does this tell us? So even if you get the vaccine, protection measures still have to be continued, like masking and things like that, unless we have one of the better vaccines which give us 95% efficacy.
Right.
So point is, locking down now, while we get to the vaccine, is not going to sort out that problem, because in spite of the vaccine, we may bring down transmission, but transmission will still happen because the vaccine is not a perfect vaccine. Better vaccines are coming. Those are going to take more time. How long do we lock up for?
Now, are you saying, I want to address this now. See, doctor.
Arnab.
See, doctor. Are people raising our hopes? I heard Dr. Union Health Minister Harshvardhan. He was addressing the first virtual SEO Young Scientist Conclave. And I'm reading from the ANI report. The ANI quoted him as saying about 30 vaccines are in different stages of development in India. 2 of them, Covaxin and Covishield, are in the most advanced state of development.
Correct.
When I read that as a layman, I say, well, it sounds like it's just going around the corner. Am I wrong? But hearing you, I get a completely different picture.
No, but they're only 60 to 70% effective. Please understand, you need to understand how good it is. It's only 60 to 70%. It's not the Pfizer or the Moderna vaccine, which is 95%.
Arnab, can I come in?
But that's the first dose.
Arnab, it's very important
Isn't that
to
the
distinguish.
first dose, doctor? By the time the second
Arnab,
dose is administered, isn't the person more immune?
No. 2 doses. 2 doses,
see,
about
Arnab,
60% is
Arnab,
what
it's very important for viewers to understand that when a vaccine company says that the vaccine is showing efficacy, it is not equivalent to effectiveness. This is a very important distinction which needs to be made. So when you say that the vaccine is efficacious, it is in a controlled, ideal environment in which there are 2 arms, the vaccinated versus the unvaccinated, which is the control arm, the placebo arm. But in the real world, the effectiveness is only seen when people who are given the vaccine as healthy adults across all comorbidities all age groups, and then see the fallout as what we call as the odd ratio. And this odd ratio -1 gives you the effectiveness. So those two are not the same. So people should not misunderstand that. The vaccine is many months away,
Okay,
and
so
for pan-India, it's
no,
going to
I
take
just want
at
to
least
say
a
that
year
I don't
above.
think we are listening
The
closely
only-
enough to
the
the
only
Prime
thing
Minister. No, I think the Prime Minister, since the start of COVID, has been a fantastic communicator on the subject. The problem I feel, and I want Sanju to come in with Sunil Alag on this, perhaps, and don't get me wrong, that we are not listening closely enough to the exact words of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. I would like to invite your attention, sir, that we all need to see every word of what the Prime Minister said, with the assumption that when the Prime Minister speaks to the Chief Ministers of states and union territories, he is giving a very clear message. You know what message I saw? The Prime Minister has said that over the past few months, India has gone from a stage of ignorance to fear, to panic, to a fourth phase, where, and I'm quoting the Prime Minister, many people also started thinking that if we fall sick, we will immediately recover, or we will recover. That, according to the Prime Minister, leads to a stage of negligence. I don't think we are hearing the Prime Minister. We want to hear what we want to hear. We've taken, if we take the part out which says we are all going to get out of this, etc., then you are not hearing what the Prime Minister would want you to hear. The Prime Minister is talking about a stage of negligence. What does that mean? Sanju can debate that with Feroz Kambata. Let's talk about the more difficult issues. Sanju and then Feroz Kambata. What does he mean there? Stage of negligence.
Okay. Arnab, I just want to say one very important thing for the benefit of your audience. Of course, it's difficult to be on the other side of the debate with you there. I've realized that. Having said that, on a more serious note, let me tell you that obviously each of us wishes to and has to take the Prime Minister seriously. He has categorically said, reinforce this time and again, jab tak dawai nahi, tab tak dhilai nahi. And he has always reinforced the fact कि 2 गज की दूरी जरूर रखिए. So this जब तक दवाई नहीं तब तक ढिलाई नहीं and 2 गज की दूरी, these are not statements which are rhetorical. These are things that we need to abide by as conscientious citizens. The point is that, you know, do we need to have a complete lockdown, or do we need to have a calibrated unlock? 2 experts on your panel, Dr. Dhamija said since a vaccine is months away, we need to have a lockdown. Another expert, Dr. Bagai, he said that lockdown is not the answer. So clearly on your panel, 2 well-known experts are at 2 opposite sides of the spectrum. So clearly there is no easy answer. My pertinent point is what even Mr. Amit Shah, who has done a fantastic job in reining in the situation in Delhi, he has categorically said, maybe not in as many words, that 76.7% of the incremental cases in the last 3 months come from just 6 regions: Maharashtra, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, New Delhi, of course, which is a union territory, West Bengal. So these are the places that need to follow stricter protocols. We cannot throw the baby away with the bathwater and say that everybody needs to have a strict lockdown. Why should these states which have been negligent or complacent, these need to have stricter measures in place?
Feroz Kambata.
Be contact tracing, be stricter surveillance.
I agree with you, but what did the Prime Minister also say? Feroz.
That is exactly calibrated lockdown. That one thing is clear, if the cases expand more than 1 lakh a day, our healthcare system cannot take it. I am a businessman, I was the last person to talk of lockdown. But what I'm saying is there are a lot of activities which are not generating that much economic return, but are generating more COVID cases. So we can see activities and benchmark them. The ones which are like factories, offices, fine. But where the economic generator is very small, but the chances of, like typical restaurants, people play entertainment places, people where people crowd, at least in this stage, we require a plan of a calibrated lockdown. Otherwise, we will have more deaths. The hospital system cannot line it.
Mr. Kambata.
So what I'm trying to say is,
Mr. Kambata, let me also tell you my. No. We have. Okay, so I'll tell you. I'll tell you my view. I'm not going to be very. I'm not going to be very flattering on this, but I will tell you the harsh reality. The harsh reality is today, whether we like it or not, that we are more blasé about COVID than we should be.
Absolutely.
It's a fact.
Absolutely.
And
right.
the reason is there was a sense of panic in May. Am I right, Sohail?
You are absolutely right. Today, India is in the belief that nothing will happen to us, that our resilience will take over, and that as long as it doesn't happen to me, it doesn't exist. A lot of people are in denial. You're absolutely right, which is why the Prime Minister's words are more important, and medical practitioners' words are more important, because people believe that they will survive this disease.
Sohail, also
not
differently.
Recognizing that this will hit anyone without care.
Also differently, Sohail. No, let's go back to May. In May, we felt we are not prepared. Today, we feel we are prepared. The very statement today that is being made that we are prepared is a dangerous statement.
3-4 states, very big states.
No, I'll tell you where we are. I'll tell you where we are. And it's important. Monojit said that as a COVID survivor.
When are you preparing for election?
Monojit made an important point saying, as a COVID survivor, while going through the issues that he had to go through, he recognized the pitfalls and the dangers of the disease. I think 3 things have happened. One is we are obviously more aware of the nuances and the contours of COVID. Number 2, we are also aware of what we should be doing as citizens of this country. Number 3, we are also aware that whether you call it calibrated, non-calibrated, lockdown, no lockdown, self-discipline is the need of the hour, Arnab. You cannot put lives to hold. You will continue to go to office. You will want people to go to work.
But taking my point forward.
You have to make them more responsible.
Taking my point forward, I want to go back to Dr. Hemant Thakkar.
I want to understand
Hemant Thakkar and Sunil Alagh, 1 second, please.
Let me come in on the issue of West Bengal.
What is that?
BJP spokesperson is talking about stricter protocol in West Bengal when their own party people are being, conducting rallies after rallies.
For God's sake, I don't want the Trinamool BJP debate on COVID.
What kind of a stricter protocol?
No, Sanju on the left. No, let's not make it political, but 1 second. Sanju, let's agree.
Then she should not lecture us. She is making it political.
See, this is the precise
very problem. Low. Let me tell you this. In considering the proportion of the population, the cases in Bengal is very low. Let me tell you this.
Can I just come in now, Arnab? All I want to say
by that logic, Bihar is doing a fantastic
very
job.
Disciplined.
Bihar has just 1,227 deaths for a 10 crore population.
That's what I began with. That's what I began with, madam. You did not hear me properly. That's what I said. Bihar is doing a fantastic job.
Bihar has done a fantastic job.
I did not have any problem in acknowledging that.
That you need to have a calibrated
Bihar could pass through this elections in 3 phases. Bihar has done fantastically.
But you don't need to panic.
And so will we.
So will we.
Thank you.
We know
Manojit, you have successfully made this a political fight, which I'm not going to let you. I have a few minutes on the debate. People want solutions now. 1 minute, Manojit. Much as you are enjoying this, Sanju, don't respond, don't play to the. No. My limited point. Just when I was getting so much praise for conducting a debate that did not have any political angle to it, there you come and spoilt it. Come on now, both of you. Thank you, Manojit. Thank you. Thank you, Manojit. You're a COVID survivor. COVID didn't see whether you're a Trinamool or BJP supporter when it decided to enter you and exit you. So please don't give this a political color. Sunil Alagh, Hemant Thakkar is on the debate. Hemant. Am I wrong in saying Dr. Thakkar, that today people feel we have defeated COVID when we have not? We are going around patting ourselves on the back saying we've got enough PPE suits, we've got enough testing centers, we are doing enough vaccine trials. Our hospitals are self-sufficient. We're not addressing the issue that COVID is on the rise, not on the decline. We don't want the truth.
We have become complacent, Arnab.
Arnab, what I'm trying to say is,
complacency must not set in. Complacency
Can I come in,
must
Arnab,
not
for
set
10
in.
seconds?
And the leaders must give examples to people that to follow discipline. Because if you have an MP or if you have an MLA holding a wedding, then everybody, the poor guy turns around and says,
so what I'm saying is, Arnab,
and that's all that we
I'm
need
not
to do.
talking about the political parties or what's happening in Bihar or Bengal. Let's move the focus to the Delhi hospitals. Suddenly there's a clamor for ICU beds. Suddenly the Chief Minister of Delhi wants to look into the hospitals. In Bombay, I find that we had walk-in beds 3 days ago. Today the waiting list has started building up. I'm talking about ground realities. I'm not a selector sitting in a leather couch deciding who will play where. I am a fielder seeing the way the ball is turning on the ground. I am only appealing to everybody that let's leave politics aside. Let's enforce discipline. To me, hospitals are more important than gyms and schools are more important than bars. Let's think of essential things which we really need to do. Because if you don't wear your mask and if I don't really chastise you for it or discipline you or even fine you for it, then I'll have to lock you for it.
Absolutely.
Now, whether you call it a graded lockdown or you call it a measured lockdown, I'm interested in discipline so that my cases don't multiply. People are walking with gay abandon. As they say in Hindi, Jaisi karni, vaisi bharni. You have to be careful because we still are in the last quarter.
So, Arnab,
Smita.
In fact, Arnab, I would say you run a campaign on
Dr.
Republic.
Rajinder Kumar.
You run a campaign on Republic. Jiska
if
mask
the people do not change their behavior, which is a difficult thing, there's no other way but to have a restrictive lockdown, just like closing down the restaurants. In restaurants, people go there, spend hours, and then they have to take off the mask. So obviously, these are the high areas, the high source for contamination. So we need to look at these. We are not asking about whole country to be locked. We are not asking for entire country lockdown. We are asking for a restrictive lockdown, focused lockdown.
No, I think when we started,
high transmission is taking place.
No, I think when we started, there was a sense in the country of a collective fight against COVID.
So
Smita. Yes, Smita, go on. Go on, Smita.
Arnab, can I make a limited point here?
Yeah, you have several doctors on your panel, and for the past 8 months, we have had hundreds of thousands of healthcare workers, doctors, nurses, Anganwadi workers, everybody. So, all of us who are non-healthcare workers, and for millions in our country who have already lost family members to COVID, friends and family members to COVID, I think all of us need to be responsible to see that our healthcare workers, at least for their sakes, we stick to the regimen which we began with in March, that we keep our distance, we use our masks, and as the doctors in your panel said, don't walk around with gay abandon, and take this as our kartavya, as our national duty, and not expect a danda from the government, and don't wear a mask just because there's a cop who's a mile away who will catch you and fine you 2,000 rupees or 200 rupees. Do it for the sake of the doctors who have been speaking on your panel. Do it for the sake of the doctors who are looking after your family members. That's all that I can plead with as an ordinary person on your panel.
Can I come in for a minute?
Well, I think in reflection, Sohail mentioned it. What I'll do is, Sohail, yes. Yeah, go on, sir. Sorry. Yes, go on, Dr. Bagai.
Yeah. The only limited point I would like to request with all humbleness is that India should actually become a champion of mask vending machines. Every colony, every residential area, every community center, it should breed in our DNA because we have to fight this for the next 1 or 2 years. This is not just this winter or the next summer. We should have a masking philosophy ingrained in every human being. That's the only way forward for us.
In fact, I'm telling you, Arnab, run this
one last thing I'd say.
Mask hai to jeevan hai. Mask hai to jahan hai. Run this campaign. In any case, we've got so many slogans going around. At least this will be a responsible slogan.
others are not, or what?
Yes. I think I close by just saying this, that I feel that what we can do is that we can set a personal goal linked to a national goal. I'm going to think of this. Tomorrow evening when I start the program, I shall launch a campaign. Okay? We'll launch a campaign, we'll make it viral together. I think we should look at our goals and see what have we done to achieve the national target. Viewers, more on that sharp at 9 o'clock tomorrow. And I thank you all very much and see you tomorrow evening at 9. Till then, good night, ladies and gentlemen, and goodbye.